Do you remember the first time you saw that DeLorean vanish into thin air? And behind all the laughs, the hoverboards, and the awkward kiss with your future mom was absolute chaos.
Dear Marty, if my calculations are correct, you will receive this letter immediately after you saw the DeLorean struck by lightning.
These are 20 weird facts about Back to the Future. But stick around for the bonus. Let's just say the iconic guitar solo. Yeah, it wasn't exactly what it looked like. Let's get to it. Number 1, Marty was almost a different guy. Eric Stoltz. That was Marty. Not for a scene, not for a test. For 5 entire weeks of filming, he gave it everything, but something felt off. He wasn't funny. He wasn't light. He was playing Back to the Future like it was Requiem for a Dream. Zemeckis watched the dailies and panicked. We're not making an art film. We're making magic. So in a move that would bankrupt lesser productions, they recast the lead mid-shoot. Enter Michael J. Fox. Brighter, lighter, sharper. They reshot everything. Rebuilt the timeline from scratch. Imagine replacing Harry Potter halfway through Goblet of Fire. Yeah, that insane. Number 2, Michael J. Fox didn't sleep at all. During the day, he was Alex P. Keaton, America's favorite yuppie on Family Ties. But as soon as the sun set, he became Marty McFly, chasing time machines in parking lots and dodging terrorists at 3 a.m., 18 hours a day. Coffee in one hand, script in the other, and no sleep in sight. In one dinner scene, he's holding a Pepsi, eyes drooping. That wasn't acting. That was pure exhaustion on film, and somehow it worked. The fatigue made Marty more believable because he was struggling to stay awake, just like every teenager in the 80s. Number 3, the time machine was originally a fridge. Believe it or not, the DeLorean wasn't the original star. The first draft had Marty time traveling in a fridge, a lead-lined refrigerator out in the middle of the desert, hooked up to a nuclear test site. Problem? Someone in the writer's room suddenly went, guys, what if kids start climbing into fridges? They needed something futuristic, edgy, a little bit ridiculous. And suddenly the DeLorean, that weird stainless steel sports car no one wanted, became the machine. It looked like it belonged to the future, even if it barely worked on set. Number 4, Doc Brown was part Einstein, part dog. Christopher Lloyd based the character on a cocktail of inspirations. Einstein for the brain, a St. Bernard for the hair, and a dash of Looney Tunes for good measure. That chaotic energy, that bug-eyed stare, that was pure Saturday morning cartoon, reimagined for the big screen. He didn't just act, he howled science into the void. Number 5, the Libyan terrorist scene almost didn't happen. When the writers needed a reason for why Doc had access to plutonium, the answer was Libyan terrorists. The studio hated it. It was dark, political, weird, but they kept it in because honestly, how else would Doc Brown get weapons-grade uranium? This is the 80s. You didn't question the plot. You wrote it. It was risky. It was ridiculous. And it somehow became unforgettable. Number 6, the clock tower scene almost got someone electrocuted. You know the scene. Doc Brown, dangling like a madman from the clock tower, rain crashing down, lightning about to strike, time literally hanging by a thread. It looks like chaos because it was. During filming, a lighting rig overloaded. Sparks exploded. A crew member ducked just in time. One more second and the scene wouldn't have been dramatic. It would have been a crime scene. They got the shot. Zemeckis shouted, "Cut!" like he was dodging death himself. The next day, they rewired everything with military-grade caution because in Hill Valley, lightning doesn't just strike, it aims. Number 7. It was almost called Spaceman from Pluto. We wish we were kidding. A Universal exec thought Back to the Future sounded too weird. His proposed title? Spaceman from Pluto. Spielberg responded, "Great joke. Thanks for the laugh." Boom. Title saved. The exec was too embarrassed to bring it up again. Sometimes sarcasm saves cinema. Number 8. Fox couldn't drive a stick. You know the moment. Marty peels out in the DeLorean like a badass. Except, Michael J. Fox didn't know how to drive stick. Not even a little. They had to push the car, fake the acceleration, and hide the stalls with clever editing. In one scene, he actually stalled the car, and they kept it in, because it made Marty feel more human. A kid thrown into time travel, but still trying to master first gear. And that's just scratching the surface. You think the behind-the-scenes drama ends there? Wait till you hear what Crispen Glover did to get into character, and why it changed Hollywood forever. Number 9. Crispen Glover went full method. George McFly was never meant to be, well, George McFly. The twitchy hands, the rapid blinking, the voice that cracked like broken glass. All that? Pure Crispen Glover. He didn't play George, he became him. He ad-libbed, flailed, whispered to himself. Zemeckis once said directing him was like coaching a possessed puppet. It was brilliant. It was exhausting, and when Glover demanded more money for the sequel, they ghosted him, literally. They used old footage and cast a body double in prosthetics. He sued. He won. And because of George McFly, Hollywood now has laws to protect an actor's likeness. Number 10. Biff's iconic insult was a mistake. Make like a tree and get out of here. It doesn't make sense, and that's exactly why it works. Thomas Wilson, the actor behind Biff, botched the line. He was supposed to say, make like a tree and leave, but he said, get out of here instead, completely missing the pun. The crew laughed. It sounded so dumb. It was perfect. Biff isn't clever. He's confidently wrong. And in that moment, he became unforgettable. An insult so bad, it became iconic. 11. Twin Pines to Lone Pine. A genius detail. Blink and you'll miss it. When Marty first arrives in 1955, he crashes through a small pine tree at Old Man Peabody's farm. You probably laughed and moved on. But in 1985, when he returns to the present, the name of the mall has changed from Twin Pines Mall to Lone Pine Mall. It's one of the earliest timeline butterfly effects in movie history. And it happens in the background. No dramatic music, no close-up, just there. Like a wink from the writers saying, time travel has consequences, even for pine trees. That's the kind of detail you don't notice at 12, but worship at 35. Number 12. Huey Lewis judges Marty's band. Remember the band audition scene? The guy who tells Marty, you're just too damn loud? That's Huey Lewis, the real singer of the theme song. He cameoed in his own soundtrack. Very meta, very 80s. It hurts, like Freddie Mercury guest judging Bohemian Rhapsody and hitting the buzzer. Just another Easter egg in a film that lives off layered genius. Number 13, 40+ rejections. Then, Spielberg said, yes. Before it was a blockbuster, it was a rejected script. Over 40 studios passed. Too wholesome, not edgy enough. This is the age of Porky's and Fast Times. We want raunch, not time travel. Zemeckis nearly scrapped it, but Spielberg read it and saw something no one else did. He told them, this is your E.T. And just like that, the flux capacitor was greenlit. Sometimes, all it takes is one yes from the right person. And Spielberg, he wasn't just a director, he was a timeline architect. Number 14, that orange vest? A life preserver? Marty's signature look. To us, it was classic 80s fashion. But to people in 1955, it looked like survival gear. On set, extras kept calling Marty Coast Guard. And that wasn't scripted. That was real confusion on set. But if you think that was awkward, just wait until you find out what nearly made this movie rated R. Number 15. The dance scene was a sweaty nightmare. The Enchantment Under the Sea dance looks dreamy, but on set, it was hell. No air conditioning, hot lights, dozens of extras packed into a fake gymnasium, suits clinging to backs, makeup melting off faces. Michael J. Fox drank nearly 2 gallons of Gatorade just to stay upright. And yet, the scene is magic. Every note, every glance, every awkward shuffle toward the first kiss. Pure cinema. Because in the 80s, movie magic wasn't CGI. It was sweat, tape, and sheer force of will. Number 16. Where We're Going was never meant to start a franchise. That final shot. The DeLorean lifts off the pavement, tires folding in, Marty and Jennifer inside, and Doc says, roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. It felt like a setup, like they always planned a sequel. But the truth? It was a joke. A flashy way to end the ride with a grin. There was no sequel planned, no script, just a flying car and a mic drop. But audiences lost their minds. Letters flooded the studio. And Universal saw one thing, money. Suddenly, Zemeckis and Gale were summoned back to the lab to invent Part 2 from scratch. Back to the Future didn't launch a franchise on purpose. It was reverse-engineered by popular demand. Number 17. Einstein was a lady. Doc's loyal dog, Einstein, actually played by a female dog named Tiger. Hollywood secret. Most male dogs on screen are female. Why? Easier to train, fewer distractions. So the first time traveler in cinematic history, technically, not even human and not even male, just a very good girl, chasing history. Wild, right? And we're not done. The next one nearly got the whole movie banned. And after that, remember that guitar solo? Yeah, we need to talk about that. Number 18. The MPAA almost gave it an R rating. Of all the things in this movie, plutonium theft, Libyan terrorists, vehicular time travel, the thing that almost earned it an R rating was a kiss. Yes, that kiss. Lorraine and Marty, mother and son. It wasn't even graphic, but the MPAA freaked. Spielberg had to step in, tone down the lighting, soften the music, and basically whisper, it's comedy, not incest. Eventually, they gave it a PG. And now it's one of the most iconic wait what moments in film history. It's unforgettable. Number 19, Biff Tannen. Looks familiar? In Back to the Future. Part 2, we see Biff in the future. Rich, arrogant, corrupt. He owns a casino, lives in a golden tower, has bad hair and worse taste. Years later, the internet noticed something familiar, and Zemeckis admitted it. Yeah, We based him on Trump. It wasn't subtle, but in the 80s, it flew under the radar. Now, it feels prophetic. Art imitating life, before life even caught up. Number 20, Michael J. Fox missed his own premiere. Imagine making the movie of a generation and not seeing it in theaters with everyone else. Michael J. Fox was so overbooked, so buried in sitcom tapings and reshoots, that when the premiere happened, he wasn't there. He was filming Family Ties. He didn't watch Back to the Future with a crowd. He saw it weeks later, on VHS, alone. No red carpet, no applause. Just a couch, a remote, and one of the greatest performances of the decade playing back at him. Even the star had to catch up with history. Bonus fact, the guitar solo was fake. Sort of. That legendary Johnny B. Good scene? You remember it? Fox trained for weeks. He mimed every chord, every move. But here's the truth, that wasn't him. The actual solo was played by a studio legend named Tim May. Fox mimed every note to perfection. So well, even some musicians were fooled. It was movie magic at its finest. Half illusion, half obsession. 100% awesome. And in that moment, sweating, shredding, shocking the 50s, Marty didn't just change the future. He became a rock god in the past. If this story hit you in the gut, if it made you laugh, pause, or remember why you fell in love with movies in the first place, then don't let it end here. Tap like to keep the momentum going. Hit subscribe and share in the comments. What's your favorite behind-the-scenes fact or moment? We've got more stories coming, more legends. So stay tuned, because the next video, it's already in motion.